Sex Priestess Podcast. Welcome, babe, to the Sex Priestess Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Nicole Oracle, and I embody all things forbidden here in the Western world. I am a Magdalene, writer, creatrix, and sex priestess. I teach devoted women how to heal sexual trauma, embrace and express every aspect of her existence so that she feels safe to create her most pleasurable and authentic life. I've spent lifetimes as a sex priestess, spent over a decade in the sex industry as a conscious stripper, and half a decade healing my deepest sexual and ancestral trauma. My mission in this lifetime is to heal what my ancestors couldn't while embracing every single story, as my story is also yours. I'm here to share with you all that I'm learning on this powerful path of the sacred sex priestess, what this actually means, and how to embody the magic within the mess. This high-frequency podcast will create a personalized experience of deep internal healing as we share and hold space for stories of pain to power, pain to pure pleasure, claiming our rightful throne of the sex priestess. May you receive exactly what you need to here. Let's do this, boo. Hi, beautiful woman. Welcome back to the Sex Priestess Podcast. I'm so fucking excited that you're here. I know it's been a minute. I wasn't able to record a podcast episode last week. I received my moon and it was so perfect and so in alignment. And I really just needed to take that time and that space to myself without pushing or forcing and not letting time have a grip on me and what I do and how I treat myself, And so I allowed myself to go into this really beautiful, deep, mysterious space of the womb, of death, of moon blood, the essence of moon blood, my moon blood. And I was taken so fucking deep. And on this week's episode, I want to talk to you about death. I want to talk to you about the power and the essence of death. What the fuck is death? And a really powerful key code that's coming through, babe, is that the sex priestess knows how to walk the realms of the underworld, of the unknown, of the mystery. And she's also a vessel, a portal for death to move through her. Whether that be holding space for souls to cross over, being able to talk to souls who have crossed over, being able to navigate through different realms that are unseen in this 3D dimension, and being able to truly understand the essence of life, death, and rebirth, and everything in between. And I feel like this is incredibly important, For a long time, I've always been the one who knew that someone just died, who knew that this person is going through a rebirth just based off of how they make me feel and the essence and the energy around them and what I'm receiving. I've always been the woman who is so curious about what happens after we die and what is the dream realm? What do dreams mean? And the essence and the magic when I go deep into my pain. And when, I have sleep paralysis or something. Or, all of those things that are incredibly deep and taboo. I have always been the soul who was like, oh my God, yes, I want to know more. I want to know the truth. And I feel like with this past Easter weekend and everything that's led up to my past moon, so my recent bleeding, so much codes, so much magic, and so much depth and transmissions and answers have come. And I really wanted to share with you this magic and this essence of death and how we as sex priestesses can begin embodying the essence, the archetype of the death doula, and how the death doula is a bridge from the sex priestess. So like I've shared with you before, I believe that the sex priestess is all archetypes in one. And I'd like to go deeper into that before we get into the essence of this podcast episode. When I say archetype, I find that sometimes, and I know that I'm not alone, because if I'm feeling this way, I know you are feeling this way too. When we say archetype, it's almost like we are looking outside of ourselves in a way. An archetype is something that is like a whole different energy than what you currently are, and you have to, do all of these things in order to be her. And I don't believe that the sex priestess and all of her magic and all of her layers and dimensions are outside of ourselves. And I don't think that there's, you don't have to work so fucking hard to be who you are. I believe that the sex priestess within me is also the mother within me, is also the death doula within me, is also the oracle within me, and the bold bitch within me. All of these quote unquote archetypes are me as much as my brown eyes are me, So that's something that I feel is so incredibly important. If you feel like you don't know what the sex priestess or what the death doula or whatever archetype you are drawn to, or you feel germinating and bubbling within you, if you feel like you are kind of split off from her, you have to do all of these things in order to be who you already are, you are already that, babe. You are already that. And so in this episode, may you surrender into your own body and into these thought forms, these belief systems. May we properly bury them. May we fully lay them to rest and embody death in this episode. May we no longer be afraid of death. And that's a really interesting and powerful thing that I'd like to go deeper into right now, is we are programmed to be afraid of death. We are programmed to not properly put someone to rest. All of the rites, all of the ways in which our ancestors were able to assist with our loved ones crossing over, or our friends crossing over, that is not part of our system. Why? I think that there's something much deeper going on here. And I feel like as sex priestesses, it is part of who we are to navigate these realms, to assist with something much bigger than ourselves. So if you are somebody who, is drawn to giving readings, or you feel like you are just so drawn to cemeteries and to death and to the unseen realms, and you want to know how you can help and you feel called to serve, babe, you are a fucking sex priestess and you are a death doula, and this is literally who you are. It is an essence within you. It is your soul, as it is your the color of your eyes and the texture of your hair. It is you. It's part of you. And so during this past bleed, it was so potent. I wrote down every single thing that came through. And so during our time of bleeding, it truly is a time of death. And it's also a time of rebirth, closer to day 4 and day 5. But today I want to talk about day 2, or day 1 and day 2 and day 3, which is your life day, your death day, and your rebirth day. There's so much magic and so many codes, and you can literally release and put death and properly bury all that no longer serves into the earth. And that's exactly what I did. So much came up. So many prostitution wounds, so many old traumas. And here's the thing, when you are conscious during your bleed, you can actually sense and feel and see, as a psychic, as a sex priestess, all that no longer serves, and all of the memories and all of the beliefs and all of the traumas that are actually being released with your blood. So a lot of us, when we see these things, we're programmed to get afraid. We're programmed to push it away, and we're programmed to not look. We're programmed to believe that something is wrong, and thus we push it away because we don't know what to do with it. The invitation here is when you embody your inner death doula, you face all of these things because it's your fucking magic. You journey to the underworld with Inanna and with all of your angels and with all of your guides, and you truly allow yourself to feel. You regulate your nervous system while you're in the underworld. Whew. And it takes practice and it takes devotion, but it is who the fuck you are. Right? And so as all of these things were coming up for me, I literally allowed myself to surrender into the essence. I laid my womb upon the earth and I let the earth take all of it. I let myself see the most horrendous of the most horrendous memories from this life and the last, and what's happening to our children right now. And a really powerful purpose of why I do this work is to eradicate human trafficking. Because here's what I believe and here's what I know in my soul, that I went through sexual trauma. I went through sexual exploitation. I've exploited myself. I've done all of these things that I've been programmed to do because I am healing something collective, and so are you. And so when that is actually acknowledged and when that is actually properly buried, and all those souls, as a death doula, as a sex priestess, so all of those souls are seen through your own self-acknowledgement of your trauma, it sets them free. We are seen and they are seen, and thus they can properly go to the light. That's so powerful, babe. And so, a lot of us are caught up in and I go through this too, but a lot of us are caught up in oh my gosh, what does it mean to be a sex priestess? I need to put this out. I need to do this course. I need to do that. I need to do this. You know what I mean? And it's what the fuck does actual service mean to you? Because to be honest, as much as I want large amounts of people in my courses and stuff, I don't really give a fuck about that. What I give a fuck about is if I'm actually of service, if I'm actually assisting with your rebirth and your healing. That's what I care about, And my service is holding that potent space for the women who come to me, but also being so deeply connected to the souls who are in human trafficking, who are in, modern day slavery, and who have died, and whose bodies will never be found. And that's something that's how a soul can actually get stuck in the in-between realms, and they can't properly go to the light if their body doesn't have a proper burial, if their body isn't, anointed or properly laid to rest. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like this is really important. Whatever is deeply important to you, that's your medicine, and it's connected to the entire universe. It's connected to the entire planet. So when you are speaking, when you are sharing your truth, truly acknowledge that. Truly acknowledge what you're truly doing this for. Because it's so much more than your course, babe. Real shit. It's your course. Of course, it's your course. Of course. But it's also the souls who can't afford your course right now. It's the souls who will never see the light of day. It's the souls who are stuck in karmic loops. We're doing it for them, And so when we embody the death doula, when we truly acknowledge death, we respect death, and we heal all of these layers of what we think death means and what we've been programmed to believe death means, we're able to set all of these souls free. And that's the whole fucking point. Whew. Yeah. I've always been so intrigued by death. I love spending time in cemeteries. All of my closest friends love to spend time in cemeteries with the dead. We love it. Because it's so incredibly powerful. It's peaceful. It's silent. There are so many codes. And I don't even want to say codes. That's what everyone's fucking saying now. Codes. It's the essence of the wheel of life, And I feel when we are able to truly recognize all of the magic, all that has died within us, and truly acknowledging and knowing that the sex priestess, the death doula, the psychic, the oracle, the mother, the warrior, all of that is who you are. And it's so much bigger than you. The work that you do is so much bigger than you, you know? And so back to the story of like Easter weekend. So Easter weekend was so potent and so powerful. And then I saw a huge black spider on the right side of my nanny's, my grandmother who has crossed over, her picture, and I have her ashes on my altar too, and I have the roses from her funeral, and I also have some other beautifully dried up crisp roses. There was a giant spider, guys, and so I'm deeply healing my relationship with spiders and with snakes, and I feel like I actually love them so much. But anyway, so this spider, it was there, and then I look away, and then I look back, and it's gone. I'm like, oh, great. Where the fuck is the spider? And I'm like, oh my gosh, what if it goes into my ears? You know? And it was so interesting. So then the next day, I was doing yoga, and I look on the floor, and the spider, the same spider, is dead. So I put it on my altar. Just honoring death, you know, just honoring death. And we can do this. We can honor death in these really beautiful ways. And the universe and your angels and your guides will show you, you know, will give you these divine synchronicities and these divine gifts for you to truly understand your medicine. Like the spider and the snake is in my field. Like that's part of my medicine, and it is probably yours too. But there's other essences, and there's other animal spirits that are in your field that are awaiting you to be acknowledged, honored, and embodied. What is that for you? And then after this, I saw a white spider on my wall, and it looked really funny. I was like, why does it look like that? So I go, and it's dying. It's dying. Like the spider's literally dying. It had like one leg out. And so when spiders die, they actually like shrivel up, and like they get all like hard and stuff, and their legs curl in, but it had one leg out still. So it was like in the middle of dying. So I put it in my hand, and then I put it on my altar, and it died on my altar. And I was like, wow, thank you. I was so fucking sad. But I was like, thank you. Thank you so much for this gift of witnessing death, you know? And they're still there. These spiders are still there. I'm looking at them right now as I record this. And then I got my moon, guys. And then the first day, it was so intense. I saw so many memories. I was able to write down all of this and come up with a really powerful journaling practice that I'm going to be sharing with you guys soon in a course that's coming out. Or not. I don't even know if I want to do that. But it's going to be shared with you one way or another. And then on the second day, which is my death day, which, by the way, I learned these key codes. I learned these days, the name of these days, through one of my mentors, Shona Keeley. And so these aren't my teachings. They were given to me. So I wanted to share that with you in honor of these teachings. And so on my second day, my death day, I found out that my aunt passed away. Yeah. How crazy is that? And then with that, that whole side of my family, they're very like they're following the COVID rules. Okay. They're following all of the rules. And it's really like, it's difficult, and it's interesting navigating through those realms. And so I'm being called to hold a space for her because we're not having a funeral. We have to wait. That's fucking bullshit to me. Like, that pisses me off, man. Like, how are we going to choose rules over putting a soul to rest? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. That's like morally unethical. It makes no sense to me. And so what I'm going to be doing is holding a space, a ceremony for her. We can always do a ceremony for her, you know? And so that's what we're going to be doing. And that's what I feel called, that I need to do that. I need to do that. As a death doula, I need to do that because every soul deserves to be put to rest properly. right? And so, yeah, that is the essence of what has been happening and moving and being realized within me, is this essence of death, is the power and the medicine and the magic of death. And so how can we begin embodying the death doula within us? We must first look at the ways in which we are afraid of death, in which we resist death, in which we resist going to the underworld, in which we resist feeling all of the dense emotions. So the power of the underworld is that all of the shadows are there. But the shadows need not be, we don't need to be afraid of that. We don't need to be afraid of shadow, of our own shadow. I find that when you go into those realms, you'll realize and you'll know that that part of you is just a part of your soul that needs nurturing and love and wants to be understood, you know? And so really looking at our relationship with death and also asking, what is dying within me? What is no longer serving me? And how am I being called to honor death for the collective? How can I use my trauma? How can I heal my trauma in reverence to the whole? You know? And so I love you so much, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woman. You are incredibly powerful. And may this story deeply, deeply serve you. May this show you that you are a sex priestess, you are a death doula, you are what you know that you are, and who you are is an innate part of you, as is the color of your eyes and the texture of your hair. You are that. I love you so much. If this episode resonated with you, send me a message on Instagram. I would love to hear your stories. I would love to hear how you are navigating through these death realms and how you are being called and asked to embody the death doula. Are you being called and asked to assist souls to the afterlife? You know? And these are ancient codes, guys. These are ancient. Our ancestors knew these codes. Our ancestors knew these teachings, and this is a natural way of life to help souls cross over. And so we can see this in different forms. So we can see this as actually assisting souls, but we can also see this as laying to rest, properly bearing aspects in thought forms and belief systems that don't serve us and actually truly want to be put to rest. How can we do that? You know? And so, and also with the power of your moon blood, you can truly tap into that essence of death, especially on day 2. Collect your blood, babe. Collect your blood. And I did a really powerful ritual where I collected my blood as well as the new moon rainwater. And I did a ritual, an intention, and oh my gosh, guys. It was so incredible, babe. So just remember the power. So all of the things that you are called to do, you are meant to be doing. Okay? So if you are called to collect your blood, bring it to the earth, that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. If you are called to, whatever you're called to do, it is meant for you, babe. Remember who you are. I love you so much. If you'd like to work with me, send me a message on Instagram and we will go from there. But I love you so much. And if this episode resonated with you, send me a message on Instagram, okay? I love you so much. Hey babe, thanks for listening to this episode of the Sex Priestess podcast. Head on over to the show notes for all direct links to follow me and any featured guest on the show. If this episode resonated with you, please share by leaving me a review or head on over to my Instagram at Sarah Nicole Oracle and send me a direct message. I love you so much. Thanks for listening. The Sex Priestess podcast.